Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump have finally met. This is the most consequential diplomatic meeting of the year so far. Everything was on the agenda: trade, defense, energy, counterterrorism, and multilateral cooperation. After months of uncertainty and anticipation, India-US relations are finally taking off on a high note once again. Modi's two-day US trip was packed with landmark moments, each carrying its own significance. From meetings with Elon, Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to Trump's announcement of reciprocal tariffs, the proposal to sell 5th-gen F-35 jets to India, and strong statements against Khalistanis, this visit was nothing short of explosive. So let's waste no time and make sense of it all. This is Shubhangi Sharma. Let's dive in. As he arrived in the US, Prime Minister Modi met key members of the MAGA base. First, it was Tulsi Gabbard, the newly confirmed Director of National Intelligence. She met Modi on the same day as her swearing in, making it her first major meeting as the chief gatekeeper of American secrets. That's right, some 18 intelligence agencies, including the CIA and the FBI, will be reporting to Tulsi, who, by the way, is a Hindu and a staunch advocate of strong India-US ties. Next, he met Mike Waltz, Trump's national security advisor and another strong proponent of India. Right after that, Elon Musk arrived to call on Prime Minister Modi, with 3 of his children tagging along. Following this meeting was Vivek Ramaswamy, who arrived with his father-in-law. So it seemed like all the MAGA stars had assembled to welcome the Indian Prime Minister. But what about the main star, Donald Trump? President Donald Trump was in quite a mood before meeting with Prime Minister Modi. He was ready to negotiate and play hardball. Trump announced reciprocal tariffs on all countries that impose duties on American goods. India made the top of that target list, as its tariff regime is the highest in the world among major economies, so it would be the most hit. But as Modi arrived to the White House, all tensions fizzled out.
We missed you. We missed you a lot. Here's some of our friends.
Trump called Modi a great friend of many years and presented a book dedicated to Trump and Modi's personal relationship. Called Our Journey Together, the book has pictures from the Howdy Modi and Namaste Trump events. The leaders held 2 long joint pressers after this long meeting. This was the longest bilateral engagement Trump has had so far in the last 3 weeks. He even called Prime Minister Modi a tougher negotiator than he was.
Oh, he's a much tougher negotiator than me, and he's a much better negotiator than me. There's not even a contest.
A tough negotiator indeed. Modi served a masterclass in how to deal and negotiate with Trump. India had been preparing for Trump's tariff salvos for a while now. Prime Minister Modi's team, all the way from S. Jaishankar to Ajit Doval, came prepared. They knew what Trump wants, what India can give, and also what it can take in return. They were ready to drive a hard bargain just like Trump, respectfully separating both elements of business and friendship. So let's look at the outcomes. First off, how is India going to deal with the reciprocal tariffs? Reciprocal tariffs simply mean this: if the tariff on a certain good coming from the US is 5% in India, then the US will also impose a 5% tariff on a similar good coming from India to the US. India has a nearly $45 billion trade surplus with the US, which Trump wants to address with a level playing field. India has been preparing for this, and now a mutually beneficial trade deal will be announced by autumn this year as Trump visits India for the Quad Summit. The 2 nations have pledged to double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. The US has also recognized Indian investments worth $7.35 billion in the US, supporting 3,000 high-quality jobs. Next, the leaders announced the Compact Initiative, which stands for Catalyzing Opportunities for Military Partnership, Accelerated Commerce and Technology for the 21st Century. This is aimed at elevating cooperation across all sectors: defense, investment, trade, energy, innovation, and multilateral partnerships. The US will be increasing its investments in India, including the nuclear energy sector. Trump wants to build nuclear power plants in India and cooperate especially on small modular reactors, something that India is very serious about. When it comes to defense, Trump dropped a bombshell by offering the 5th-gen F-35 jets to India. These are the most advanced fighter jets in the world and had not been on the table for India thus far. While this is just a proposal, the F-35s made it to the joint statement, which indicated that the US is reviewing its policy on such sales to include India as a buyer with all its special demands. India's demands with any such purchase will include elements of technology transfer and co-development, which will be difficult for the US. Whether you're a fan of such a purchase or not, this is a big deal. Having F-35s as an option is a good thing for India. But of course, that's just a proposal. But Trump is more serious about the Strikers and the Javelins. A 10-year defense framework has been announced under which more US weapons, from Javelin anti-tank missiles to Striker armored vehicles, and the procurement of 6 additional P-8I maritime surveillance aircraft could be involved. The US will also review international traffic in arms regulations to streamline technology transfers and spare parts supplies. And the two countries are also in talks for a reciprocal defense procurement agreement. The idea is that the US will not just sell, but also buy from India. The two countries are also planning to collaborate closely on building undersea warfare systems. Trump also does not want to miss out on the AI movement in India, with the US-India AI roadmap to be finalized by the end of this year. But there's more. India is going to be buying a lot more oil and gas from the US. This is Trump's demand, and frankly, it works for India as well. And the US-designed nuclear reactors in India have also been envisioned by Trump. So there's a detailed plan in place for energy trade. And now to the most interesting part. How will Trump treat Khalistanis? Well, we had a glimpse when Khalistani protesters were removed from the adjoining premises ahead of the meeting. In the joint statement, a paragraph has been dedicated to the Khalistanis, but not without mentioning the name. This is how it reads. Trump and Modi agreed to cooperate on law enforcement to, and I quote, take decisive action against illegal immigration networks, organized crime syndicates, including narco-terrorists, human and arms traffickers, as well as other elements who threaten public and diplomatic safety and security and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of both nations. This is a clear message that two main occupations of Khalistanis, organized crime and terror attacks on Indian interests, will not be tolerated the way it was by the Biden administration. In fact, Trump mentions the previous US regime in the context of Khalistani terror.
Well, I don't think India had a very good relationship with the Biden administration. A lot of things happened that weren't very appropriate, I thought, between India and the administration, the Biden administration.
Trump has also vowed to work on counterterrorism together, confirming the extradition of 2611 mastermind Thakur Rana. The two countries condemned Pakistan's failure to act against terrorist networks, demanding accountability for the 2611 Mumbai and Pathankot attacks. Now to the multilateral front, Trump embraced the I2U2 and the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor. He also reinforced the Quad's importance. As you know, India will be hosting the Quad Summit this year. And another sticking point was Bangladesh. Sources say that Bangladesh was discussed in the meeting and that Trump and Modi have shared concerns about the new regime in this country. Meanwhile, as Trump was asked about it, he said that he would leave that to the Prime Minister himself. This confirms that unlike the Biden administration, Trump is not likely to fan flames of unrest in India's neighborhood, and neither is he interested in challenging India's security concerns in the region. So all in all, this Modi-Trump meeting is tremendously important. It's indicative of a positive reset in ties. Trump has crushed US aid, which made the mistake of going after him. But this also happens to be great news for India. Modi and Trump have shared enemies, so the potential of this relationship is astronomical. The good news has always been that Trump has seemingly good intentions with India. But before that's realized, Trump needed to lay new ground rules, mostly on trade and immigration. Now, this was nothing that India can't work with. India too is a tough negotiator, and it all might just be worth the big picture. This high-stakes meeting could have been bungled at any stage with clashing egos, but Modi took the high road against Trump's volatility, negotiating in the backroom, striking deals that pacify him without compromising on national interest.